All right, so last week we talked about the new Super Cruiser from Buell Motorcycle Company partnered up with Roland Sands Designs. This time around, I want to talk about the hard truths about this company before you start to invest your $50 for a deposit or waiting in line to potentially receive this motorcycle in the near future if it ever happens. So the points I'm going to give you are all the resources that I collected from online, and I'll link all the facts below so you can do your own research and do background checks on this. I'll start off with the fact that this motorcycle company, or the Buell Motorcycle Company, has nothing to do with Erik Buell anymore. It's a continuation of Erik Buell's legacy and his previous designs, but Erik Buell has no financial input or, I presume, business decisions for the Buell Motorcycle Company as it stands right now. Currently, the motorcycle company is owned by a liquidation corporation called Liquid Asset Partners, and the CEO is Bill Melvin, and he's the one that's kind of the face of the new Buell Motorcycle Company as it is today. Now, from my comments section, some people were talking about, oh, this company's going to get sued by Harley because they're taking the designs from what was proprietary to the original Buell motorcycles. And you don't have to worry about that because it's actually Harley Davidson that sold the Buell motorcycle division to this liquidation asset company in 2021. And if you aren't really sure how that worked, I'll link the history of the Buell Motorcycle Company with Harley Davidson. But in a nutshell, Erik Buell, who used to be an engineer from the R&D department for Harley Davidson, branched off to make his own motorcycles called Buell. And throughout the time period, the Harley Davidson Motorcycle Company started to invest more into the Buell Motorcycle Company, which ended up owning the majority of the shares. And in around 2008, early 2009, during the recession in the US, Harley Davidson decided to shelve all Buell Motorcycle Company products, which is what pushed Erik Buell to move away from the company and start his new brand called Erik Buell Racing. And that's the emblem that you see today in the current Buell Motorcycle Company. And I feel like I'm saying his name quite often. I apologize for that, but that's just how these naming conventions work right now. So fast forward to 2021, the Liquid Asset Partners reached out to Harley Davidson and agreed on a deal where the LAP purchased the entirety of the Buell Motorcycle Company from Harley Davidson, and more likely they also purchased Erik Buell Racing to finally merge the company into one brand called Buell Motorcycle Company. And that's where this Super Cruiser is coming from. You'll notice that there's a lot of mixed parts of different bikes from previous generations, and some people don't like that look because it just looks too customized, I guess. It doesn't look very refined like a Harley Softail or an Indian Chief. But for someone like me who loves the enjoyment of modifying and customizing motorcycles, I feel like this hits the right spot for me or someone like me, and there is a market out there for those who want this type of bike, the Super Cruiser from Buell Motorcycle Company. The couple things that are stopping me from actually putting a deposit: one, they're not producing anything outside of US, so obviously I live in Canada, so I can't purchase this. Two, there's a little discrepancy even from their frequently asked questions on whether or not this $50 is refundable or not refundable, because when you read the facts, the first question is it refundable? They said yes, it's completely refundable, but then when you read further below, there's all these clauses that says the $50 deposit is not refundable. I don't know. There's a bit of a discrepancy between the two. I mean, it is $50. It's not like you're putting in $5,000 or $500 to hold the bike, but I think that's something that the company needs to clearly articulate to the people who are trying to invest for the company. The other speculations that I'm still waiting on is whether or not this company has the momentum and the sustainability to keep this company up and running, because although Buell made amazing motorcycles, they have not had a very good track record from a business standpoint. And as a consumer, the last thing you want is to buy a motorcycle that you've been waiting for 2-3 years and then realize that there is no way to go to a dealership to get the bike repaired, or realizing that the company went bankrupt and that there are no more parts to buy from. So those are the big worries that you should think about before you put a deposit down on this motorcycle, because it's still really new. Like, I'm not saying the bike is bad or anything like that. I think it's fantastic, as you saw from my previous video. My worry is the fact that this might be a one-time purchase and more of a collector item should this company go under, because there was no sustainment plan or any future development for dealerships to be spread across North America or wherever you live. I don't even know the cost of it. I know there's rumors out there that it's about $20,000, and maybe there was some interview out there that they're trying to aim it to be $20,000 US at launch, but I don't think that's possible based on the fact that if you look deeper, the engine of this motorcycle, which is the 1190cc liquid cooled engine from Buell, the replacement of the entire engine is $25,000. $10,000. So with that alone, I cannot see this entire motorcycle being closer to the low 20,000. Maybe 30,000 US dollars is probably more feasible at the launch time, which I still think is pretty competitive if you compare this bike to the Indian Chief or any of the Softails from Harley Davidson, because that's kind of the performance you're getting from this bike. So I guess my real concern is, what is their end state, or what is their intent with this? Because they're making a lot of waves in the motorcycle industry right now with this company, pushing out a sport bike, naked bike, dual sport, and a cruiser, all lined up for like 2024, 2025. Yet there is no real details that are provided other than the concept itself. But it all comes down to whether or not this liquidation company is willing to really dive into keeping this motorcycle company up and running on their own, or maybe they're just packaging all of this nicely so that either Harley Davidson or Polaris, who owns Indian motorcycles, to buy them out at the end for a really good profit for them. And if that's the case, then we again come back down to the issue of what Buell Motorcycle Company originally went through, which is Harley Davidson owning the company and then keeping it on the back burner so that it never sees the light of day. As you can tell, I am super excited for the Super Cruiser, so I'll be following along pretty closely and keeping my fingers on the pulse. So if you guys have any additional comments or something that you want to let me and my viewers know, put it in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button. Like always, ride safe, ride prepared, ride on. Peace.